So the other day I was looking at the original teaser trailer for TF2, as one does, and it's quite cool to see the original designs for some of the classes. They all look so much older, and it's quite interesting to... What the hell is that? Yeah, that's Scout, but instead of his classic scattergun, he's holding an SMG. As some of you may know, Scout's original design had him using a nail gun rather than his iconic scattergun. It's quite interesting to think about what would have happened if that made it into the final game, right? I mean, we do have things like Team Fortress 2 Classic, or whatever it's called. In that game, Scout can actually use a nail gun, which is pretty close to what we saw in those old trailers. But honestly, I refuse to touch that game. Just one of those things where it's just got the nostalgia factor and nothing else. But hey, if you're into that, don't come at me with, it's just like TF2 but better, because it's not. But that whole nail gun idea did get me thinking. Imagine if it did actually make it into the final game. A weapon that could have opened up some interesting playstyles. But instead, of course, we did get a scattergun. And well, now we cannot imagine Scout with anything else. And let's be real, it is probably a good thing. The scattergun just works, and it defines Scout's playstyle of being fast and aggressive. TF2's final product ended up being focused on those single-shot, high-damage weapons. Things like the scattergun, the rocket launcher, and the sniper rifles. Weapons that hit hard, hit fast, and reward precision. It's clear why the nail gun didn't make the final cut. It just doesn't fit with its core design. Of course, Pyro and Heavy are a big exception to this, with the flamethrower and the minigun being all about sustained fire, overwhelming enemies with damage over time. But honestly, that's probably another reason why the nail gun didn't make the cut. It could have just been too similar to Pyro's flamethrower. But no! I'm not backing down that easily. I want to use the nail gun anyway. And sure, Pyro's flamethrower is all about sustained fire and fiery chaos, but let's be real, there's a big catch to it. Pyro's range is fixed, and he's just slow as hell. It's boring. It's two things I don't really want to deal with, especially when I'm trying to be playing as the fast and aggressive Scout. The beauty of Scout is his speed and mobility. You're darting around, jumping in and out of fights, and doing everything you can do to avoid being caught out. The nail gun with its rapid fire could still work for a class like this, but unfortunately, there's no weapon in TF2 which can go as fast as Scout and fire the stream of projectiles. Or is there? Most of you have probably forgotten this, but Medic actually has primary weapons other than the crossbow. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about the syringe guns. These things deal low damage, but the projectile speed and fire rate is fast, kind of like what the nail gun could have been. A weapon that doesn't exactly hit hard, but delivers quick and consistent shots. The only difference is, well, the syringe guns aren't exactly good, and to that I say, it's a skill issue. Now, before you click off this video and start crying about how stupid I am for even considering using any of the needle guns, I don't care. Now let's break this down a little bit. The stock syringe gun deals 10 damage at base, 5 at max fall off, and 12 at max ramp up, and its fire rate is 0.105 shots a second. This means that if you can hit all of your shots, you can kill any player in just about a second or two. Yeah, that's probably something that you weren't expecting, right? You're thinking it's just some weak weapon with no real impact, but when you actually start landing those needles, the damage actually adds up. It's fast, it's consistent, and if you're accurate enough, it is a legitimate threat. But of course, that is only if you can get into max ramp up range. As a medic, that's not exactly an easy feat. And first off, you've got to be close, really close, which is a dangerous place for a medic to be. And let's be real, if you do manage to get close enough, you're probably already one step away from being dead. It's the classic dilemma, right? You're trying to land those shots, but you're also incredibly squishy. And the last thing you want is to be caught right in the middle of a firefight. So while the syringe gun could technically be a fast, high damage option in theory, in practice, you're taking a big risk, and the payoff is there. Surviving long enough to make it count is another story entirely. So naturally, if you're wanting to play Battle Medic, you'd probably turn to the Blutsauger. You trade off 2 of your self-healing per second, bringing it down from 3 to just 1. Not ideal when you're relying on healing to stay alive. But in return, you get +3 health back on each shot that you land. And you know what? That makes a big difference. While the Blutsauger doesn't completely negate the risk of playing medic in combat, it does give you a little more staying power. Each successful hit extends your life just a bit longer, making you more of a threat in those close-range skirmishes. You've still got to play carefully, but the Blutsauger lets you survive long enough to make those risky plays pay off. But of course, even with the Blutsauger, this isn't exactly a great strategy. You're still playing medic after all, and let's face it, you're soon most likely to die. Sure, you might get a few solid shots off, but you're still squishy, and in the heat of the battle, an extra 3 HP per shot is not going to make you invincible. But medic does have one more primary weapon: the Overdose. Now, at first glance, this might seem like the worst option. It deals less damage, 15% less to be exact, which on paper, it sounds like a huge drawback. But get this, that results in an entire 1 less damage per shot. So much, I know, right? I mean, yeah, it's a small trade-off, but it is a trade-off all the same. That tiny bit less damage might sound like a deal-breaker, but when you step back and think about it, the Overdose brings something to the table that could totally change the game. Now remember 5.5 minutes ago when I was talking about a nail gun for Scout? Well, the Overdose has something kind of similar going for it, and it's actually the only upside that it has. The Overdose increases your movement speed based on your Ubercharge percentage. For every 5% of Ubercharge you have, you gain 1% more movement speed. So if you are at max charge, you're looking at a total of plus 20% speed, bringing you up to 128. And that is just 5% slower than what Scout is, making you by far the second fastest class in the game. And what this speed allows you to do is to play like a Scout. You can zip around your enemies, get in and out of fights, and most importantly, chase down enemies with ease. If you find yourself in a bad situation, you can just escape, no problem. The Overdose lets you do everything Scout does best, but as a medic, which, let's face it, is sort of ridiculous. That extra speed makes you way more mobile than you would think, and suddenly you're not just a slow, squishy support class, you're a fast and slippery threat. You can get into spots, dodge rockets, and get away from danger before anyone knows what's happened. Now, sure, you are slightly slower than a Scout, and you don't have a double jump to escape tricky situations, but in return you do get 25 more HP and a passive health regen. And honestly, I think that just about evens out. But let's talk a little more about what the speed actually does for medic, because it's not just about being fast for the sake of it. First of all, mobility means you're able to get up close easier, and make use of that max ramp up damage, making you more offensive. And second of all, it allows you to control fights. You can choose when to engage and when to back off. You don't have to commit to every single fight like a slow class would. You get to go in, poke and do some damage, and vanish before the enemy even realizes you are alone. And lastly, chasing. Being able to hunt down low health enemies and finish them off with your syringe gun is so satisfying. If you have high enough Uber, you're fast enough to keep up, and if you're good enough, you can be accurate enough to finish the job. This speed can turn medic from prey into predator. If you are skilled enough, you can be just as effective as any other combat class. If you're good at dodging, then you won't take any damage. You can use the speed to your advantage, use it defensively, and use it offensively. So then the big question is for this playstyle, which medigun should you use? Well, let's start with the stock medigun. It gives you invulnerability, which honestly is perfect for a hit and run playstyle like this. You can overcommit, dive in, go a little bit too deep, and if it all goes horribly wrong, boom, pop Ubercharge, and just leave. It's basically a panic button that guarantees you don't get punished for being a little bit too ambitious. Now the crit screen is pretty much useless. since it gives you 0 protection, and the crits cannot apply to yourself. Don't bother using it. Now the Vaccinator, that's actually a solid pick for this setup. First off, it has the fastest Uber build rate out of all the miniguns. This means you'll be hitting full charge constantly, and with the Overdose equipped, that translates directly into keeping your speed boost up almost all the time. You're not just fast, you're consistently fast. And just like the stock minigun, it gives you a get out of jail free card. If things go bad, you can pop one of the resistance bubbles and make your escape. And it's not full vulnerability, but it should be enough to get you out of a tricky situation, without completely wasting your charge, since it only will consume 25%. But in my opinion, the best minigun pick for this playstyle is the Quick Fix. Yeah, its charge is slightly faster than stock, although a bit slower than the Vaccinator, but where it really shines is with the Uber charge. When activated, it lets you heal yourself back to full HP almost instantly, and even give you some overheal. It's like a portable, rechargeable mega health pack, stable to your back. If you're ever caught out in a 1v1 and you're on low HP, no problem. Switch to your minigun, pop the Uber charge, and boom, full HP, and go right back to shooting. Take a little bit more damage, no problem. Swap back mid-Uber and heal again. It turns every fight into a little rhythm game of damage, heal, and repeat. It gives you this ridiculous level of control in a 1v1 that almost no one expects from a medic. You're basically pocketing yourself when you're using the Quick Fix. And also, the Quick Fix allows you, if paired up with a soldier or a demo man, to do this. And dive bomb on top of enemies and take them out with surprise. Now let's talk about the melees which you can pair with this setup. I would say you've got 3 solid choices, each with its own strengths and downsides. First up, the Solemn Vow. This one is probably the best pick for this playstyle. Why? Because it lets you see the health of enemies when you look at them, and this is a game changer for deciding when to engage and when to back off. Imagine if you were to charge at a heavy use at full health. Yeah, you're probably not going to win that fight, but if you're up against a low health class, you know it's a fight that you can take. It helps you make smarter decisions on the fly, and with your speed boost, you can quickly reposition to get an advantage. Next up, the Uber Saw. This one's a classic. While it doesn't directly help you with your combat, it lets you build up your Uber charge with melee hits. So if you're getting in close and landing hits, you're going to be charging that Uber quicker than any medigun can. The kicker here is when combined with the Overdose, the faster you can charge your Uber charge, the faster you can go, the more damage and more mobility you get. It's a very solid synergy and worth a go. And finally, the Vitasaur. This one's a bit more niche, but it still has its uses. When you get a hit with the Vitasaur, you collect organs. When you respawn, some of your Uber charge, you gain it back, based on how many organs you've collected. I go more in depth in the Vitasaur in this video here, on the top of your screen. Since you respawn with a portion of your Uber charge, you can get back into the action quicker. With the Overdose, you gain a speed boost right off spawn, and it's a nice way to ensure that even if you get caught out, you're not completely losing ground. Now what you are probably thinking is that there's one major problem with this idea, is that you actually need to get to 100% Uber charge for you to make use of the speed boost. But that's not really an issue, because you don't need to constantly be playing as a battle medic. You can play as a regular medic for the time being, build up your Uber charge, and if you see a good opportunity, pull out your needle gun and start firing. It's just about how you choose to play. So while we might not have that iconic nail gun, this loadout gives you a similar experience, just in a different form. With the Overdose, you're practically moving at a scout speed, dodging and weaving and zipping around the map like a blur. You'll be hard to pin down and nearly impossible to outrun, giving you that fast-paced edge in every fight. The Quick Fix is perfect for this setup, offering a fast Uber charge build rate and the ability to instantly heal yourself when you're in a pinch. It lets you bounce back from damage nearly right away, meaning you don't need to worry about being taken out quickly. And then the Solemn Vow allows you to check the health of your foes, letting you decide whether you want to pursue this fight or make a tactical retreat. And the funny thing is, these 3 weapons are their own item set called the Clinical Trial set. So funny enough, they were almost designed to work well together. So while we may not have that nail gun firing away, this loadout can capture the same vibe. Speed, mobility, and the ability to stay in control. It's a unique spin on a high-speed medic playstyle, and it's definitely worth trying out. And always remember, the healing is not as rewarding as the hurting. Did I get anything wrong? Disagree with my opinions? Think I missed something? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video or found it interesting, consider giving it a like, sharing it, and possibly even subscribing. And thank you for getting to the end.